Interface Video presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fairhope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and the Frankie Smith Funeral Home.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. I'm your host, Paul Jassogne, and oddly enough, I don't think I thought about this when I scheduled. I'd rather be lucky than smart. I can frankly tell you that right now. I didn't realize that this show, of course we generally do two segments in the show, was going to be an entirely Lancaster High School show. Second half of the show, we'll talk to the Band of Gold band director, Ben Factor, talk about their big upcoming event, big band show they have out at Fulton Field. But we'll open the event, and I guess we can couch this by saying it's been about 7 years now since the planning went in to open up the first school, which was Mount Pleasant. For me, or people my generation, it was the Old North School, legendary place in this community, but it was going to be replaced by a new school, and that became the first school in a series of events that lead us up today to where now we'll soon have two new junior highs and even a new high school out there. So it's a pleasure to have with us kind of the guy behind all this. I'm not sure he knew this when he took this job on. Maybe he wouldn't have done it, but the guy that's really led this for these past 7 years on this is Superintendent Steve Wigton. Steve, thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Paul.
It's certainly been a challenging 7 years here from the time you think back from that original plan.
It has, but the nice thing is I don't know any different. I haven't been a superintendent not doing construction.
And when you got in, it was showtime.
It was, yeah, definitely.
But I now we look back and we say, golly, what a great job the board did, the administration did, all the teachers and the kids. So here from 7 years from that planning stage, maybe back in 2012, somewhere around in there, start thinking about a new school. So now we have all new elementary schools.
Right.
We'll soon have, within another year, two new junior high schools, about another year, and then eventually another high school. So this has been thanks to the voters in this community who have made this all possible, and we certainly understand how that works. This is a community that's really come together on this, and golly, in 7 years, we can see where this money and where this faith in the school system has led us.
Yeah, it's been fantastic, and I tell you, it's been great to have the community support. And, the guy that's really, truly behind this all is Jerry Rainey. Jerry is our director of business operations, and he has been he's been involved with this all the way through, and he's the guy that makes sure that these buildings are built right.
It's as you think back now and see how this has all come, and it's really come for the most part, I think, ahead of schedule. Everything has worked out really
well. Don't
like
be jinxing us, Paul, because we're still working.
We still got a ways to go. We're not to the finish line yet. I got that, but we're pretty far down the race.
Yeah, we had one of our buildings that was delivered early.
Yes.
And that was Talmadge, and so that's a money savings that we were able to put forth into the junior high projects, and so it's been great. Yeah.
Talmadge was, I've always felt that was my grade school. I went there for the grand opening of that, and I was there the first day the original Talmadge opened, and I was there now the first time a couple of years ago when the new Talmadge opened up. I thought when I was a kid, it couldn't get any nicer than Talmadge. Now as an adult, I don't think it could get any nicer than this Talmadge school. And I see Medill every day over there. I see these schools that you've got. Education has changed, but in this respect, it's all been for the better.
It has. These buildings have been great for our students and staff, and they're taking advantage.
I bet morale is just
it's very good.
Oh yeah. So I go by Sheridan Drive now. I look over there to my right as I heading out toward Rainbow. I look down in there, and I see this massive place that will be Thomas Ewing High School. What a beautiful setting. Going to be a beautiful school.
It is. It'll be open for January.
After school, after
January,
Christmas break.
Right, after Christmas break. We'll take Christmas break, and then we'll be opening up in January. We'll be doing some, right now they are finishing the grounds. They are doing the detail work inside the building, flooring, ceiling tile. Those are the last things that are done. And then, in December, we'll be doing some orientations for staff. We'll do a dedication. And, of course, we'll have to do a goodbye to the old building as well.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. And then you go across town out there on 33, you go up a little bit at Election House, and you make that curve there, and you come around there, and you see this place, and it's all right in front of you right there. And again, I guess it's a picture-perfect image of
It is. We are
Thomas
using
Ewing.
the same plan at both places,
Okay.
and that's a cost savings
Sure.
as well in terms of the planning, and then and that way, both sides of of the community are getting the same thing. So each site has a football field with a track, and baseball and softball, as well as the building.
Somebody brought up to me, and this is somebody that's a voter in town. He brought up to me, he says, I don't understand why we just couldn't have built a high school and built the 2 junior highs right there. And actually, one of the people that was listening to this conversation was a former teacher, is retired. He says, look, each of these schools needs their own athletic field. They need their own everything, because they've got a life on their own.
I got to have a space for that guy, the band director, to make sure
Amen
that he's
to that.
practicing.
I'm all for that.
Yeah.
So everybody still needs their space.
That's right. And people don't understand, until they see the size of the buildings, and the size of those buildings is determined by the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission based on how much enrollment you have. So when you see the size of our junior highs, you realize just how undersized the current Thomas Ewing is.
What are they, 6, 7, and 8 now?
6, 7, and 8, and they were never designed for that.
Yeah.
So we put those 6th graders in the junior highs back in 2006 when we had the budget cuts and we closed down Stanberry for a year and a half till we reopened it as a career tech center. But it wasn't designed for that. In fact, we've got the modulars sitting out there at the junior highs right now.
So Thomas Ewing will open up in January after the break.
Yep.
I think General Sherman will open up perhaps the beginning of the next school
August.
in
That's
August
correct.
of the next school year.
That's
next
correct.
School year, 2020.
Yes.
2020.
August 2020.
Sherman will be online. And then where do we stand with the high school now?
Well, that's the time. We don't have a definite timeline for the high school yet. When we were going out to the voters and we were asked, we said a reasonable estimate would be August of 2024.
Okay.
And I think we're still in that timeline. We don't have the go-ahead yet to do planning because the state has to come up with their portion. They're a little behind in funding schools, but I can get into a fairly complicated
you can get in the weeds on this
conversation. I
real
get in the
quick.
weeds on this, but we hope to get into what's called the Expedited Local Partnership Program, which the legislature allows districts like us, which are segmented districts, to do. They just put that into the biennium budget. So we get that, then we can start the planning process. But there's still work that we are going to be doing. Thomas Ewing, the current Thomas Ewing.
Yes.
I've got to be careful.
Sure.
The current Thomas Ewing will be demolished, in the spring. This coming spring.
And that'll be part of the whole
And
complex
that's going
as
to
you
be part
drive
of the
up the
whole
lane.
complex, and that's and also we are going to be moving maintenance and transportation.
Say buses will be out.
And we have another location that we are doing soil borings to make sure that the property can support what we want to do. And that's not part of the bond levy. We have permanent improvement funds that we're planning to use towards the moving of the maintenance facility. So those things can get started even before we get into the actual planning of the high school building. So, there's work that we'll be doing.
And something I didn't know till we sat down here talking about it, maybe a new Fulton Field press box. I want to touch on that, but I don't think I've had you on. I've had Pam Bosser on, your director of athletics at Lancaster High School. We've talked about it. Golly, the new field out at Fulton Field, and I don't think you've been on since that's occurred. What a really a nice thing to happen out
Oh,
there.
it's
What a
been great.
beautiful facility.
Yeah, and the greatest thing, one thing that maybe people don't realize is just how much practice time. Anybody can go out there and practice, and it doesn't tear up the field, it doesn't tear things up, so it gets utilized quite a bit.
Any other year at this time,
Yeah.
starting to look pretty rough.
Oh yeah, we've
Band is
always,
on it.
That's right.
All the teams are on it.
Yeah.
Fisher Catholic is on it. Lots of use.
They get plenty of use. Yeah, so it's been a good thing.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
I know she's so pleased to have that on there.
Yes,
It makes
she
her
is.
job a little
Yep.
easier, I think.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's been a transition for Fulton, that whole Fulton Stadium complex. I mean, prior to that, we redid the track and all of the field event areas.
Mm-hmm.
And the next year was the artificial turf,
Yeah.
and we had some private fundraising to
Yes.
help with that.
Yes.
And the next step is the press box.
Sure.
And we hope to have something done on that press box this spring.
Nice.
So, they're going to do a reconstruction
Next
of that.
school year might-
And so, well, hopefully for this spring for track.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good, very good. That's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on.
going
A lot
on.
of construction.
Yes.
A lot of facilities, actually.
I guess this master plan you had, again, we look back at that, and it started back, the actual planning for what's now Mount Pleasant School was back in 2012. Kind of a big picture of where we wanted to be in years in the future. Here we are, 2019, two schools on the verge of opening up, two junior highs. The high school soon to be kicked off, maybe 3 or 4 years away from that. The change in the school system, the landscape of the Lancaster City schools, and I certainly want to again thank the board.
That's
because
right.
they've had great leadership on this. And I will point out that Kathy Kitteridge said one thing I should mention is that all the members of the school board are Lancaster High School
yes, they
graduates.
are.
Now I'm sure
Yes,
there was
they
a time when Chuck Reed and P.D. Smith and these were folks on the board, though they all were. But that hasn't always been the case. As things change and move along.
Right.
But right now they're all Lancaster High School
They
graduates.
They are, and they're all coming back for the next term, too.
Yeah,
so that's great.
and so they care very much. Well,
Yeah, they do.
golly, it's an exciting time here, Steve.
certainly is.
Do you think, now I'll just ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you think Burry will be up for handling a new high school? I'm not sure. Is he going to be in over his head? I'll ask Ben the same question when he
There
comes.
is nothing that puts that guy, you can't get over his head. Let me tell you, that guy can handle a lot.
And
he's been
I'll
doing a
say that for the
fantastic
other
job.
guy that's a Thomas Ewing too, Steve
That's
Poston.
right.
These are two young men that I've
Oh,
known
yeah.
since their high school days, and what exemplary young men to have come out of the Lancaster City
Right.
school system
Yeah.
as great athletes in their own right, but decided they wanted to come. They left for a while, but they came back,
That's right.
and they've had athletics in their life. Now they're back as teachers and now administrators.
Right.
Golly, it's good to have good people
It
like
is,
that in
it
the
is
schools.
great, and that makes my job so easy. It's been pretty smooth, to be honest with you.
Well, I won't let Mr. Burry know
Yeah,
you said
well,
that.
that's right. We don't want to.
His head's big enough.
That's exactly right.
Steve Wigton has been our guest, superintendent of the Lancaster City Schools, and as we talked, the General Sherman will, we'll go with Thomas Ewing first. We'll open up in January after the school break.
Right.
On track for that. A year in August, almost a year from now, the new General Sherman will open up, and then in the future, maybe in 4 or 5 more years, we'll have a new Lancaster High School. So.
Right.
That's amazing for
Be
Lancaster
coming.
High School.
That's right.
So thanks to the voters for
Yes,
who made this all
definitely.
possible with the
That's
confidence
exactly right.
in the school system.
Right.
Thanks,
Right.
Steve. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
your leadership and what the administration does here in
Appreciate
Lancaster.
the opportunity to come and speak.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Steve Wigton from the Lancaster City Schools. We'll be back with another Lancaster High School boy, Ben Factor, and the Band of Gold in just a moment.
The Frank E. Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our 2 locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster or 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Fairfield Medical goes the extra mile to give attention to their patients, to their guests, anybody that comes within those doors.
There's no question that the staff there are all personally invested in seeing that I got the best care possible.
The staff was so comforting. I felt like she was in the best hands.
They basically gave me a second chance at life, and I'm going to make the most of it.
Welcome to the Dream Machine. Like to be part of Dream Machine, keep me busy, and it's also important that we do it together as a group, and we plow and plant, and we have lots of produce. We have tomatoes like one here, and gourds, cucumbers, squash, kohlrabi, beets, microgreens. We also have flower arrangement, and we also sell bags, those tote bags out of edible food bags, and we sell them out in the market, farmers market.
It's a special place that keeps people healthy by eating a couple fruits and vegetables. I always show people, first time they pick raspberries and green beans, I show them how to do it like if they do it wrong. Picking raspberries and green beans is simplest, easy for me. We're entering some things in the field like pumpkins, the gourds were growing, and everyone likes them. Tasty.
Welcome back to Fairfield today, and again, kind of oddly enough how it all works out. We have Steve Wigton on to talk about the current and future of the Lancaster City school system with the new Thomas Ewing Junior High, and soon in the future, several years down the road, a new Lancaster High School, and we'll be talking to Ben Factor, who is the band director of the Band of Gold. We'll talk to him about a big band invitational coming up here, actually this coming weekend, so we'll talk to Ben about that. And again, want to mention fairfieldfederal.com. Even though we're in the fall of the year, there's still plenty of time if you are interested in, if you're interested in a renovation of some kind, whether it may be an outside deck or something like that you still want to get built before the winter, or maybe inside, a kitchen, remodeling your home in some fashion. A good place to start is fairfieldfederal.com. They have lots of information right on there that could answer some of the questions you have. And for the ones you can't find answers to on the website, they have phone numbers for each of the three, this downtown location and then the two branches over on the west side and up in Pickerington, the names of folk to call, because it's important to know that Fairfield Federal, it's local people who make the decisions here locally for you. It doesn't go out of town or your mortgage will be sent off to somebody like that. Everything stays here local. So I'd encourage you to go with your questions to fairfield.com, fairfieldfederal.com, and make that your first stop. Again, it's a pleasure to have Ben Factor with us. Ben, welcome back.
Thank you.
This gets to be an annual thing.
That's right, yeah.
And I didn't realize it until you said before we came on, 39th annual Band of Gold Invitational. That, I had no idea. I probably last year knew it was the 38th, but this really has a history here in the community.
It definitely does. We started in 1981 with the Invitational as a fundraiser for our band boosters, and it's continued to be one of our best events, not only supporting our students and our band boosters, but all of the bands that come to get feedback and get better.
So it's coming up this Saturday. What are the hours out at Fulton Field?
We start at 4 o'clock with the first band. It'll go up until 9 o'clock. Our band will perform about 8:15 probably.
You're the host band, the last band, then
That's
you'll be
right.
the last one on. So a lot of chance, and I'm sure it brings in, I'm sure the community in terms of Destination Downtown and the Chamber of Commerce are glad to see this, because if Lancaster High School is any indication on what the following is for other bands, they'll do great. because Lancaster High School has a following like it's hard to believe. I know when we have parades here, and you guys in the parade, whenever the band gets there, the crowd doubles in size because you have great boosters and great parents and families. They really support the band.
Yeah, it's definitely a community event. It's definitely something that there's a lot of supporters that go and follow the band.
So this is and it's hard to believe, your 6th year as director of the Lancaster High School Band of Gold, and golly, the ones keep coming in, the great things that you do at shows and state contests and places you take the band, you travel. Do you go to all the away games?
We do, yeah. We on occasion skip a game if it's 2 or 3 hours away, but that only happens every few years. But yeah, every away game we're there supporting our team.
I think the only one, and again, I was an alumni of the band, but I think the only one back in the COL was a lot different than it is now. We had a team from Ironton, if you can imagine. Ironton was in the league. We didn't go to Ironton. The band didn't make the trip, but if it was Upper Arlington or it was Newark or Zanesville or any of the contiguous places, which I'm sure you go generally on a every year, every other year basis, really, the band is involved every week.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in there for the team, cheering them on and getting the crowd pumped up.
So this starts in the summer. You have a band camp. I'm going to guess that's still how you start.
We actually start as early as June. We have our 4th of July parade here downtown Lancaster, and that's our first big event that we do. We have to get our new members ready to go, and it takes a little bit of time, as we might expect. So we start as early as mid-June, getting ready for that. Take a couple weeks off in July, and band camp's end of July. We go to Rio Grande, University of Rio Grande.
And then you touch on all the shows that you'll be doing throughout the year, or most of them, while you're at band camp?
Band camp now focuses mostly on our competition show. That's our main show that we do. Things have evolved with competitive marching bands over the years. It's gotten a lot more complex. The shows have gotten more complicated, so we focus on the more strenuous and more intricate parts of the shows, which is our competition show, which is what we focus on most of the way through the year.
Now, what's the size of the Band of Gold this year?
We are just about 110 members.
I would say that's a pretty good sized group.
It is, yeah. We are getting bigger as the years progress. We've added a few members here and there, and our members down the junior high numbers are looking really good. So we expect bigger numbers as we go the next few years.
And I suppose you are just about like athletics. You look about the band if you look at the Band of Gold as the varsity, then you would look at perhaps Sherman and Ewing as the JVs coming up, and you could tell by, I guess, looking at the crowd numbers, and I'm sure those increase or decrease as the years go on, but if you've got a good base down there in junior highs, that's probably encouraging to you as a high school band director.
Absolutely. It all starts from the beginning band program. We were fortunate to make some changes the last year or so with our beginning band program, and our numbers have taken off. We're getting great numbers with all instruments, and getting kids fitted on the right things so they can be successful. So we're really looking forward to the next few years and what that's going to make for the band program.
Now, how does the band program work in the grade schools? As I remember, at least when I was in, every school had their own band. I went to West School, we had a West School band. North School had a band. Does each grade school still have a band?
That's a great question. Up until this past year, yes. We would go around and travel to the elementaries, but it wasn't the most efficient process as you might expect. We'd see the kids for about a half hour a week.
And that's how it's always been. I mean, we had the varsity band guy come down to grade school. They did us.
That's right. So we made the change this past year. We're now starting in 6th grade at the junior highs. Our numbers have gone through the roof. The kids are more successful since we see them every day for an entire class period. Our habits are getting better, their practice habits, the communication with the parents. So that was a great change for our band program, and that's something that's going to be helping our numbers and will help the quality of the program the next few years.
Very good. Well, let's look at the, so you've got the 39th annual Band of Gold Invitational coming up this Saturday, 4 o'clock. It'll kick off. I don't exactly know what Saturday weather is, but it looks pretty good. It looks like the entire week was going to be good in terms of at least moisture or anything like that. So let's assume it's good weather, and that would be a real plus for that. How long does each band get to perform?
Each band has a 15-minute block of time. Their shows are anywhere from 6 to 10 or 11 minutes, and they have some time to come on the field, set up, and so on, and exit. So 15-minute blocks. those that come to the show are welcome to stay for one band or stay for all 15.
Sure.
For their ticket price. We certainly encourage them to watch as many as possible, since there's so much variety, and we like to support all the kids that are coming to our shows.
Now, will they all be bands as large as yours, or will there be smaller bands out there?
Yeah, there's different classifications. Class C is the smallest school size.
Is that like athletic size A?
Very
I don't know.
similar.
What's the biggest one now?
Double A.
Is that Lancaster?
Lancaster's double
Okay.
A. So it's not so much band size, but school size.
Yes, yes.
But the double A bands can be as big as 250 or more members, perhaps. The smallest schools will have bands that could be 20 or 30 members.
Will they be do you think, a larger band than yours out there in this invitational this year?
There's a couple bands that are about our size. Delaware Hayes will be there, Dublin Scioto.
So big school systems.
Those are some big school systems in Double A, and some Class A schools too that are going to be there too. Some local groups, Millersport, Bloom Carroll will be in attendance, and some from as far away as West Virginia. We have Point Pleasant, West Virginia coming.
Oh.
So from all over Central, Southeastern Ohio. So good variety.
So each year, do you try to invite back some of the same bands? I mean, the more local bands, and then maybe look at some away, like a Point Pleasant or someplace in West Virginia or something like that. Is there a rhythm to how you like to do that?
Each year we request a certain date to go. We've actually requested to go a little later. You may remember the contest being in September typically.
I do.
With the turf. The field is in great condition later in the season, and typically bands like to go out later in the season. The weather's a little bit more favorable sometimes. They also have more opportunities to qualify for state finals, which is the main objective for a lot of bands. So bands wait to go out a little bit. So we figured moving a little bit later, we should get some bigger bands.
Think that's proven to be successful?
Well, that's yet to be seen since this is our first year, but so far with the turf, a combination of that, and certainly with the later date, we think that we're going to make it better each year.
And you've touched on it. We talked with Steve Wigton earlier. That new turf has just been a godsend to not only athletics, but to the band program too.
Absolutely. Not only for our Band of Gold Invitational, but for our rehearsals, to have the opportunity to be out there, to move all of our equipment on, to hear and see the band like it will be at any other competition or football game. We have a beautiful practice field up on the hill where the new high school is going to be.
You'll lose that.
We will. We've been talking about where we're going to go, which will work out in good time. But there's nothing like being out there on the turf. The excitement for the kids and just feeling that excitement for being on Fulton Field is great.
So when people can come out Saturday as early as?
Gates will open at about 2 o'clock. They are welcome to come early. First band is again at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
And they're welcome to stay the entire show.
You'll have food out. I was going to say there's concessions, and again, it's a very family-oriented atmosphere. Young people, and if you've got young kids, maybe if they're thinking maybe they'll be in a band someday, what an opportunity to see several bands.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll have a lot of vendors out there, T-shirts, and it's a really great event.
Well, it's the Band of Gold Invitational, the 39th annual out at Fulton Field this Saturday. Gates open at 2 o'clock. Information's on the school website. I know you can find all that.
LancasterBands.com is our band website. If you click on the events tab on the top, it takes you to all of our information about all of our events that are going on.
And I almost forgot, I wanted to mention what a great job your boosters do to support the band. I know lots of things you do wouldn't be possible in the current monetary and education climate. They really help out a lot.
We have great volunteers, very loyal, dedicated volunteers that help us a lot.
And I'll give you another quick plug. I always want to thank the Lancaster High School Band of Gold as a veteran, and when we do the parades, the Memorial Day, the Veterans Day Parade, unless it's a Sunday, we can always count on the Band of Gold being there, and you bring so much to the table when you're on. I know everybody associated with the veterans groups thanks the band for being a part of that. Thank you for that.
It's our privilege.
Ben Factor, who is the executive director, the band director, if you will, for the Lancaster High School Band of Gold, has been our guest today. Good luck Saturday. We'll hope for good weather.
Yep, absolutely.
And just get a one at the state for us. We'd like to talk about that next year. They're an amazing group, 110 strong now. Looking forward to that Saturday. The Band of Gold Invitational. Thank Ben for joining us on Fairfield Today.
Interface Video presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fairhope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and the Frank E. Smith Funeral Home.